diet plays a large part in any weight loss plan. So that's why we are joined now with a dietitian. Her name is Amy Guidry. Hi, Amy. Welcome to the show. Tell me, you're with Christus?
Yes.
Okay. So did you happen to catch the last segment, or are you familiar with Athena, the guest that we had?
I just met her today. I actually just started for Dr. Schrapp a couple weeks ago. So she was working with Lauren, the previous dietitian, but I did meet her earlier this morning.
And she's obviously a walking testament to the success rate of things like that when someone sticks to not just the surgery, but sticks to a proper diet.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit maybe about candidates who aren't necessarily in need of surgery like that, but just someone who wants to start a healthier lifestyle for this new year. Let's start with healthy eating. Is it difficult to do?
It is, because there are so many temptations out there now. You know, food manufacturers use a lot of tricks to trick people to make them think they're eating healthy things. For instance, you know, saying something's multi-grain versus, you know, the healthier option would have been a whole grain, or they'll say zero trans fat. You know, it's a lot of things just people they're not educated on, you know, so they don't know what to look for in the grocery store.
And that's a huge part of it too, because like you said, people are it's a trickery when you look at labels and stuff like that. Do you have any suggestions for resources where people can go to learn the proper education?
There are lots of different, there's stuff all over the internet. I know for myself, I use an app on my phone called Calorie Counter, which basically you can scan foods, you can type foods in, and it gives you a complete nutritional breakdown of what's in the food. It takes into account not only calories, but it breaks down carbs, protein, sodium, which is a really huge thing that a lot of people don't think to look for when it comes to weight loss. You know, especially like people that like to buy a lot of the box things, you know, the healthy choice meals or the smart ones, those are lower in calorie, but if you look on a lot of them, they're really high in sodium, which, you know, can lead to water weight and things like that. Right. So it's important to there's so many things really you have to kind of take into account, but I think the most important thing is just focus on one thing and just kind of let that be your goal.
Right, and so if you take it a day at a time or a step at a time, you'll make progress.
Right, because if you try to do it all at once, you're not going to succeed, and then you'll get discouraged. So. And
you'll just go right back to where you were in 2013.
Right.
Real quick, I want to ask you about the cost difference between eating healthy and maybe what's cheap, like ramen noodles you can buy for like 8 cents a pack or something. Does cost play a factor in eating healthy?
It does, but what I've always used when I'm educating people on weight loss and stuff is paying a little extra more to eat fresh fruits and vegetables is going to be a lot cheaper in the long run than a heart attack. You know, it's a lot, you know, you kind of have to think of it like that. To me, it's worth, you know, paying a little bit extra to know that down the road I won't have these chronic diseases that could, you know, enable me from being able to play with my children or having to be on all these medications. So it is more expensive, but also I think it's important to know that there are ways, there are things out there that you can, there's farmers markets. Unfortunately around here we don't have a whole lot of those, but there are some. There's options like getting the bagged vegetables versus the fresh ones. If you know, it can be a little cheaper sometimes that way. Right. But the more need there is for it, it'll cause manufacturers to kind of go down on, you know, versus doing the convenience foods.
So little by little, step by step, you can take some of the pointers that Amy Guidry taught us this morning. Thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome.
And just kind of also log on to different websites. You can Google different apps, things like that. It's not impossible, so stick with it. More to come in today's Health Minute, how hip-hop is helping kids make healthy choices. You're watching The Morning Show on Fox 4.